and she was always, that was her thing.
Yeah.
She was, they didn't have any kids, and
Well, how did she get to Tennessee? I guess from
with her husband,
Yeah.
Harry. I think, I'm not positive, but he had a lot of. He once owned a company that some of my relatives worked for. Maybe that's how they met. A hat blocking company, which probably is out of style now. But he had it, and he employed people.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he came about it, but he was a gambler and lost all kinds of money in East St. Louis. That's where he gambled.
Yeah.
And I think that's what made him leave from his associations in East St. Louis.
I see.
I think that's why they left.
On the lam. So
Maybe
but she had a southern accent.
Well, she was there for a long
Which
time.
she developed probably when she went.
When she's down there. Yeah. Which she developed down there. Now, he didn't have a southern accent.
No.
Not Uncle Harry, no. Oh, greatest salesman in the world. I'll swear to you, he is. He was. Soft sell, not the hard sell. And he could convince you of anything, I'll tell you. And I know a story about him is that he'd come home sometimes from work and early, and Aunt Marie'd come home from work and she'd go, "Oh, you're home already?" "Oh, yeah, I came home at noon." "You did? Oh, why?" "Well, I sold enough."
Yeah.
And so he left work selling cars. And you know what? They never fired him because he was the best salesman they had.
Right.
And he would send people from his dealership to other dealerships because he says, "You don't want this Oldsmobile. What you need's a Plymouth. And you need to go and see so-and-so down here." And he would send them to other dealerships in the city.
It's a wonderful life, huh?
And because he was such this fantastic salesman,
Miracle
they didn't do
31st
anything
Street,
to him.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
Send
didn't do
him
anything.
to Macy's, yeah.
Yeah, nothing to him because he did everything right. But anyhow, that's Uncle Harry. There's pictures of him someplace. That'll be upstairs on that thing. But these are different. Oh, some of these are just notes. I wanted to know I know who some of these people are. There's Dolores, and I don't even think Dolores, Viola and Dolores. So Dolores was related, but Viola was her girlfriend, I think. They lived together. But I don't think they called them girlfriends. They just lived together back then.
In some of the times, there weren't enough men to go around, so you couldn't get married. And especially if you didn't have a dowry or any assets, you were not sought after. That was an issue with Irish people, as they had all those kids, and the girls didn't have any money or dowry, and so the men would be looking for the women that had some. So the old Irish maids all lived together. Plus, they worked on the farm, and they did work, right?
Oh, yeah, they did work.
They were productive.
They're good. Okay, I don't know what this is. Busha. That's what Mom and Dad called her.
Yeah.
Busha, which is as far as I can tell, it just means grandma.
Yeah.
And I tried to find out which language, but I wasn't sure if it's Polish or if it's German or Russian.
Yeah.
They're all very similar. But anyhow, that's there. Certificate of death. Who's this? Can't be too far. Oh, that's John. John Frost.
What year?
What's this guy? John Frost in it? Oh, father's name. It's Harry Frost. It's Uncle Leonard. It's his death certificate. And that's what this is here. I'm saving the best for last.
Oh. So Marie's husband's name was Harry?
Marie, yeah, Harry Thompson.
Okay, and Leonard was Harry, so I was getting my Harrys confused there.
Yeah. Well, there's all kind. You look through, go back to the Wormingtons. I mean, there's a lot of names.
Yeah.
They're the same. So there's that, and then the piece de resistance. We'll start with this. Well, look, it's the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. And guess who's on the cover of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch? It's Edgar Zernicke, photographed just as he joined the Marines in 1925.
Now, is he the one that they found the remains in New York or whatever?
But you can read that.
Yeah,
But there he is.
Well, I think he looks related too.
He's a Zernicke.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a little something. And I gotta find it upstairs. We gotta get. Oh, that's another thing. I don't want to forget. Let you get the CD.
Yeah.
This is an article now from the Leader Journal, from the Leader. Yeah, the Leader in Corning, New York. That's the newspaper. Edgar Zernicke. Oh, it says Bath, New York. Edgar Zernicke and 6 other veterans were laid to rest in the Bath National Cemetery Friday, years after their cremated remains were discovered by museum officials in Buffalo. The veterans were escorted from Buffalo by more than 100 Patriot Guard riders, an organization that attend the funerals of veterans across the country. But their journey has been far longer than the 100-mile trip. A U.S. Marine who fought in Sandino, that's in Nicaragua in 1928, that would be the Zernicke. Zernicke's remains were discovered in 2000, the year 2000, in a basement closet
Now, what were we doing in Nicaragua in 1928?
Suppressing a rebellion.
Yeah.
The Sandino Rebellion.
Yeah.
And Zernicke's remains were discovered in the year 2000 in a basement closet of a vacant funeral home after the building was donated to the Iron Island Museum in Buffalo. I don't suppose anyone had opened that closet for years, said museum president Linda J. Halfstrider, who I spoke to on the telephone a few times. And I'll explain that later. We just were all excited because we had gotten the building and looked into everything. She contacted the funeral home, which took custody of the remains. On a whim, she wrote down the names and dates marked on the 24 containers found in the closet. 24. Wow. Museum personnel forgot the incident till last year when psychic Chip Coffey of A&E Television told them the building was haunted by a man whose first initial was E. You like this? You love it. I do too. I couldn't stop when she called me.
Yeah.
The museum looking at the list of remains, Halfstrider located Zernicke's name and told her co-workers, "Oh my God, we've got to bury Edgar." A regional coordinator for the Patriot Guard Riders and Recovery Program tracked down relatives of Zernicke and 6 others and received permission to bury them. None of the men buried are local. And it goes, recovery was part of a national movement to locate and bury unclaimed veterans' remains left in the basements of hospitals, funeral homes, and other places. State legislation will still give groups the right to bury veterans without the frequently task of locating the family. And what they did was they found, Edgar's son and he were estranged. And so they found the grandson, who really didn't know Edgar at all, and he gave permission. It's important these men served our country, and so that's part of this. Here's a. I don't have this picture. I don't know where they got this. Here's Edgar as a young man.
Hi.
Hello. Edgar the Ghost.
Okay. So there's a story in here, and it's written down. This is an AP story.
Yeah.
Cremated remains of 7 World War I, World War II, and Korean War veterans. That's what they found there.
Yeah.
Ashes, 24 sets of remains, picked up the remains. Strange things were happening in the museum, you see. A friend suggested in 2007 that they call paranormal investigators, which they did. And the psychic claimed to detect the presence of a man named Edgar, which led them to the list of identities from the remains and the name Edgar L. Zernicke. What's the L for? I don't know.
You were just
Probably Ludwig, right? If it fits
Might
in.
be Ludwig, yeah. After dug deeper into this and found he served in the Marines from 25 to 1929. Fought in the Sandino Rebellion in 1928, and later spent 4 years in the Navy before returning to Buffalo. He died in 1992 at the age of 87. Twice widowed, a retired and tool die maker. Okay, the director, marvels at how things worked out. None of this would have come about if Chip Coffey, that was the paranormal guy, hadn't said Edgar's name. If he said Edgar's name, people might think it's crazy, but that's the truth, because he didn't know the names of the people. He just said Edgar, and that's it. Anyhow, the last decade have found odd things going on inside the former church and funeral home where they discovered 24 cans. Pictures go missing from tables, shadows darted about, and occasionally a voice seemingly came out of nowhere to bid hello. Volunteers dismissed it as Charlie the Ghost acting out again. But now Charlie has been reunited with his true identity. And on. So, yeah, I'm not going to read you the whole
Well, that's
thing.
interesting.
What
So
do you
exciting.
think? What do
Yeah.
you think? You got one now. You wanted a story? You got one. You got one.
That was such a fun.
Ghost stories. This is AP. Bath Cemetery. Shows you where he's buried.
And so that's Buffalo?
Bath, New York.
Yeah, Bath, New York.
Which is,
Near Buffalo.
I think it's 100 miles.
Yeah.
It's a long
It's a long trip. You'll see in the CD, which we have of the whole event.
Yeah. I can
Upstairs.
hardly wait.
I have that upstairs. You'll have to take that home.
I will.
down. I think it's down here, Steve.
The CD?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know where it's at.
I'm looking for it.
I looked upstairs. I looked in the top. There were some CDs on the top shelf, but
Well, it's a DVD, so
It's a
I'm
D-
sure it's down here.
I don't know. I don't know if it's CD or DVD, but you know.
You will have a picture.
So anyhow, what do you think of that?
I think that's exciting.
Now she called me
Yeah.
and spoke to me. She said she's trying to locate relatives and all that, get permission, and she told me about this and that they were going to do this, and I was all interested, and I wanted the CD. Let's see what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you have an opportunity to go and spend the night there if you want in the museum.
In the Haunted Museum.
Yeah, a relative. You know why? I'll show you why when we look at the CD. Because you have to, I don't want to watch that whole CD, but on his funeral urn, they gave him an urn.
Mm-hmm.
Name's misspelled. It's not spelled. They didn't spell Zernicke right.
Oh.
So
Think he's still
would have
hanging
to,
around?
and I think somebody said something about they still thought he was around, and so you could probably spend the night there and and be in the newspapers.
Well, that's what Chester wanted to do.
Chester wanted to do that, spend the night there. My buddy Chester, he said,
Yeah.
we can go and spend the night there. They'd let us.
Here it is. Got it.
You got it? Cool.
It's boring. It's just this.
It's boring.
The whole cassette,
It's the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
So it's boring. But
So is it like on TV at some point? Did they have it like a
No.
A&E mystery or something?
I think they were on TV for the haunted house part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can probably find it maybe somewhere in some
Mhm.
archives of A&E.
What was the name of that show?
I don't know.
Was it Ghost? It wasn't Ghostbusters.
Wait, it's somewhere in here probably.
But anyway, it's so they did this Patriots Guard trip with all these cremains, and people actually came out on the roadside, you know.
You could see people standing on the roadside waving.
So I don't know how many little caskets were there.
Well,
I
there's
don't know, there were
1, 2,
There's 7 names on there.
7 names.
And they spelled, and we watched the whole thing, and at the end we saw they spelled
Zernicke wrong on the urn. It's on the urn. It's a, it's a little marble urn.
They're like little caskets.
Yeah. So, and you see it in the film that they do.
We both went,
Uh-oh.
oh no, they spelled it wrong.
No, what's gonna happen now?
They do that.
So, you wanted a story. I guess you have one.
That's a great one. I appreciate it.
And if Barb said, "Oh, he knows that," because we were talking to everybody about it. But I said, sometimes over the years we've only seen our relatives once a year.
Well, you've mentioned it, but certainly it didn't stick. Like it will stick now, and I'll have it on recording, so I'll be able to remember.
Yeah, but I think it's really cool.
That is really cool. Ghost stories in the family. And then just the crop, I mean, for me, so in 1928, they send this guy to Nicaragua to suppress a rebellion.
Right, and what about Sarah and Jesse and the 3 slaves?
Yeah.
Who's that?
We found
Wormington's own slaves.
some slaves
Oh,
in the ancestry.
Oh no.
One, they were tithable property.
Well, in some way,
Property.
I don't know
They were
if
property.
Right. But
Yeah. So they were listed in the will. So one of them had 1 slave, and one earlier had 3 slaves. And they talked about dividing the plantation in the 1700s, 1600s.
Or farm.
it said plantation.
Yeah, it said plantation. You got the north part of the
We probably
plantation.
says how many acres then.
I imagine there's a couple back in those days.
Got a lot of room in Virginia to grow tobacco
in
and
the
whatever
ci-
else you were doing
Yeah,
there.
before 1700 or whatever
Yeah.
you're doing there.
And,
With slaves.
and Brigham's family had slaves right down here. They had a couple slaves. They were Danish too.
Yeah.
Benson's, that just seemed like, what?
Hey, no matter, slaves own slaves.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
That was when I watched that show
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
watched, that
Right,
Henry Louis
Roots.
Gates.
Yeah, I saw that same show, yeah.
But the Bryant Gumbel one, where Bryant Gumbel's great grandpa owned slaves, and he was devastated. He's like, "What? My grandpa?"
So here you go.
I think that would be too.
You have
That is
you have an
wonderful.
abundance of materials.
That's great. I can't wait to get through it.
Yeah.
No, seriously, I got time now.
Well, you got time.
And Joanne, she's like,
All right, so I mentioned who Joanne was and how that she did a lot of that's where all the Wormington stuff comes from.
Yeah.
From her.
yeah.
Because that goes along that line.
You didn't know your dad had been in the orphanage.
No, she didn't know that.
Me neither. But Joan said she did, and Dale said he did. So
Well, I may have
Cass-
mentioned
me,
it,
yeah.
or he may have mentioned
or
it,
they remember
or
me.
grandma
Your mom
did.
told me.
My mom
Yeah.
had mentioned it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
she-
he
and
really.
She said your
yeah.
dad played the trumpet at some time. but his lip went bad. His lips went bad.
Who knew? How does
Your lip-
this happen?
How do your lips go bad?
Yeah, really.
Maybe you just didn't want to play the trumpet anymore.
Maybe never played very well.
Maybe, who knows
He
what?
might have been in the orphanage.
So they were Grandpa Zernicke. Carl Frederick was born in this area.
Grandpa, yeah.
Yeah. And what, like, were they downtown or were they?
Oh, that I don't.
I don't know that.
Yeah.
You can find that in census.
Yeah. Well, how did they meet?
That I don't know.
No.
Oh, your mom and dad?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Joanne might know.
Do you remember how my mom and dad met, or kind of what the whole scenario when they were?
No, I don't know that either.
But Butch might know.
Yeah.
Butch could know.
Yeah.
You might try him too.
Because Lorraine is 7 older than Butch, and Butch is 7 older than you.
Mm-hmm.
So she was
14 years older.
right, probably not even in the house too long.
No, because
Did
when
she
I was
live out?
3,
Did she live out
when I
before
was
she was
3,
married?
we
Yeah.
went to Africa,
Yeah,
Morocco.
you and Kathleen
Me and Kathleen.
You were
and
3,
she was
so she
17.
was
She
17.
stayed here
to finish school or
to
whatever.
finish school, and
Yeah.
then I don't know. It depends on what year she got married. Then
Where's your ass, Steve? What, did you ever ask?
I told him he didn't need. I trust you guys, and I had a shot. I just was concerned for you, so you don't
Okay.
have to wear one.
Well, I don't mind.
Okay. Plus, he's on camera. I don't want him to be garbled.
Oh, he is? Oh, yeah.
I'm on camera too. I didn't.
Yeah,
Oh, you said
I'm
recorded. I didn't realize I
I
was
was
being.
at McDonald's.
visually recorded.
Ordering something, and he said, you want such and such with that? And I'm going, huh?
Yeah, it's hard to.
Do you want to? You want to start the pizza? I
I
guess.
am. I should.
Oh, you started.
He's
Okay,
working
now
on it.
Tell you to warm up the oven.
I'm gonna. I got the zip drive. But I think we'll go up and look at a few pictures up there.
Okay.
Did you, so you've already downloaded it?
I've got it on a zip drive.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna show Dan some of the things on it. Okay.
All right.
Well, it takes a little while for the stiffness to go out.
Well, we laugh about that. For me, that on the like they have commercials on TV now where they're trying to teach kids not to be like their parents. So whenever the men stand up or sit down, they grunt.
Yeah.
And I do that all the time now. And my dad used to do that, and I made fun of him, like, "Why do you grunt when you stand up?" And like that. So